G'day and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be covering Computer Practice N5 and we're going to be looking specifically at the November 2023 question paper covering the Excel question 7B. And our instructions are as follows. We need to retrieve the spreadsheet that has been saved as question 7A. We're going to be inserting a header with our examination number left aligned and our question 7B right aligned. We need to insert horizontal and vertical borders using the method we are familiar with. We will be sorting through the records according to the price from the highest to the lowest. We will adjust our column widths to make sure that the spreadsheet fits on one A4 landscape page. We'll be inserting formulas where the letters of the alphabet appear to do the following calculations, where we were calculating the days spent, which is the difference between the check-in and the check-out dates. The total price, which is the price multiplied by the days spent. The total of the total paid, which equals the sum of the total paid. Discount yes or no, where we're going to be using an if function. If the days spent are greater than 5, then the client is discounted. And we'll give it a yes option. Otherwise, it will be no. The next formula we'll be looking at whether a discount is allowed. And if a discount is allowed, then we calculate discount allowed as 5% of the total paid. So in other words, if you're looking at formula D, if D is yes, then we will take 5% of the total paid, which is column C. Okay. Otherwise, the discount allowed will be 0. And then we need to determine if the number of double rooms booked in May, to determine the number of double rooms booked in May. We will also determine the total amount received from extra double room bookings and determine the second largest total paid. And we will determine the average product price, and we will determine the total number of clients that were hosted in May. Okay, and instruction 7 asks us then to copy all formulas to other cells as indicated in the spreadsheet, and to display all amounts as currency with 2 decimals. We will save our spreadsheet as question 7B, and ultimately we'll print it out as one A4 landscape page, which you would have placed within our examination folder. So let's have a look at what the example is of how we need to create the actual spreadsheet. As you will see that we have to insert some rows and some headings. So we will just have a look at which ones we still need to insert. There's a column we need to insert there. We need to make sure our column headings are bold and centered for all headings. Okay, so that looks like all that we need to do there. And then we will later on go into the C question. Okay, so let's just go into Excel. Okay, so first things first, they said that we need to change our page layout to page orientation to landscape. All right, let's do that some in the beginning. And then we're going to insert our headers, and we're going to go down to our page layout view. You can either do it here, or you can go up here in terms of your print titles. I prefer using the bottom method here because it takes me straight into where my headers and footers are, and I can insert my headers immediately, the right places. So examination number, bearing in mind that your examination number is your ID number, and on the right side it's going to be question 7B. Okay, so once you've done that, click back in your spreadsheet and then go back to your normal view. Right, so now we can go back and we will see that we need to insert a row for May 2022 and a blank row below it. So I'm just going to insert 2 rows below. Okay, I'm going to go right click on that and insert. I'll just move that back to where it was, using Control X and Control V to put back that. And now I can type in month May 2022. Okay, so now it resembles what we have here. So the top two rows we need to merge and center across columns A through I. So columns A through I. In the home menu, go to your alignment grouping, choose your merge and center. Do the same with row 3. Select from A through I. Alignment, merge and center. Okay, so now we can change the font on those to Gaudi Stout. Here we go, Gaudi Stout. Same for there. Make that Gaudi Stout. And then we need to change the size to 24 for both of those. Okay. Once we have done that, we can then move along. We need to insert a column after column E. So after column E, we will select here by column F. Right click, and we're going to be inserting a column in there. Okay, that column is then going to be days spent. Bearing in mind that we need to wrap our text. So we're going to wrap the text there. And in this case, we can just make it a bit smaller. Sorry, I took the wrap text off. So I just had to put it back on again. So now that we have it wrapped, we need to make that all bold and center all headings. The question is not very clear if it's going to be just centered horizontally, or is it centering it both horizontally and vertically. I'm going to tend towards the latter. I'm going to do it to both horizontally and vertically, and I'm going to make that bold. Okay, so now I can start inserting my formulas because there's no other rows I need to insert or columns. Okay, so I can go to my formula sheet in my question paper. Okay, and formula A is going to be the difference between the check-in and the check-out dates. So here you need to look at which is the greater date. So it's going to be equals, and you open your brackets. You don't necessarily need brackets, but for completeness, let's use our brackets. So we're going to say column E minus column D. Close our brackets. That will then calculate the number of days. We're going to format that as a number. So I'm going to change my format to number with 0 decimal places. Okay, there we go. So we need to change that to number, and we're going to reduce the number of decimals on that to 0. So in our number grouping, let's reduce the number of decimals to 0. Right, next formula we're going to be inputting is the total paid, which is going to be the price multiplied by the days spent, equals price multiplied by days spent. Okay. Then next we need to do formula C, and here it is the total of the total paid. Just go down to the actual C where columns. Oh, C is below here. So I'm going to skip over C and I'm going to go right onto D. Okay, so D is whether a discount is allowed, yes or no. Okay, so D is if the days spent are greater than 5, then the client is discounted, yes or no. So we need to autofill that formula down for the days spent. Okay, I made a big mistake by doing that. And autofill it down manually up to there. And I'm going to make sure that when I select my autofill functions, that I'm filling without formatting. But I need to make sure that I change that to number, and it's set to 0 decimal points. Okay. I can then obviously do the total paid. Also drag that down, and yet again fill without formatting, because that will then stop any formatting changing my borders. Okay, so now we need to insert the formula in column H, and that formula is going to be column H, which is D, if days spent are greater than 5. Okay, so equals if days spent are greater than 5, then we will answer yes. Or if it's less than 5, we will answer no. Apologies about that. Regional settings not right. So I need to adjust that on my regional settings. But in this instance, you can see the day spent is less than 5. So in that case, the answer would be no. So I can autofill this down. And yet again, fill without formatting. And you will see that only the last two qualify for that discount. Okay. I remember seeing an instruction where we needed to sort out data. We need to sort our records according to the price from the highest to the lowest. So let's do that. So we're going to select all our data before we do the discount allowed. We're going to sort it. We're going to go into the data menu. We'll click on sort, and we are sorting by, and you see the option that says that my data as headers has been selected. We're going to sort from price, from the largest to the smallest. Okay. And so we have it like that. Okay, so now we can do formula D, which is where the discount allowed equals if the discount is allowed, then we calculate the discount allowed as 5% of the total paid. Okay, so in other words, we're going to say equals if discount here is equal to yes, then we are going to take total price times 5%. Otherwise, we will not return a 0. Okay, so that formula we can then copy down. See, apologies. We do that manually. And yet again, fill without formatting. And as you can see, only 2 will qualify for that discount. And remember one of the instructions was that we need to format our prices as currency. Go back into your menu, the numbers. We're going to format that as currency with 2 decimal points. Total paid will also be currency with 2 decimal points. So to discount allowed. Okay, so now we can move on to the other formulas that we need to complete. So we've done E. We're going to now do formula F. Sorry, now we can actually go back and do formula C, which is the sum of the total paid. Okay, so we're just going to use our auto sum function, which is in the editing section over here. Use our auto sum and we will sum that. Okay, to give us that value of 61,000 for the total. Okay, so now we need to determine the number of double rooms that were booked in May. So here we are going to do a SUMIF where we need to determine how many double rooms were booked in May. Okay, where do we need to put the formula in? Let's just determine that from the question. That is going to be below column G. Okay, so we're going to be below G. Okay, so we're going to go SUMIF. Okay, so we're going to determine here. That's the range that we're looking at. And the criteria is if it is a double room. You can actually select one of the cells that actually has the value double room in it. That will also work in terms of the formula. Or you can insert the words in double room in brackets, in quotation marks, sorry. And then we're going to tell it what to sum. We need to sum the total paid. Let me just confirm that in our question. It says just determine the number of double rooms booked in May. So we only have to use a COUNTIF. Sorry, I used the wrong function. My apologies for that. So that's got to be a COUNTIF. We're going to COUNTIF here is equal any double room. Okay, that we need to format as a normal number with 0 decimals. Right. Next item. We need to determine the total amount received from extra double rooms. So here we need to use our SUMIF function. So we're going to go SUMIF. Oops. Equals SUMIF. And we're going to look at our range here. And we are selecting it where it is extra double room. And we are adding the total amount received, so it's going to be our total paid here. Okay, and that we need to format as currency with 2 decimals. Okay, now we need to determine the second largest amount, second largest total paid, so we're going to use the equal large function, and we will then look at that range, and we want to find 2, which is the second largest, gives us that value. Let's try that again. Okay, and yet again we need to format it as currency with 2 decimals. Now we need to determine the average product price. So we're looking at the price equals average of the product price. And then we need to determine the total number of clients that were hosted in May. So that's going to be a count A function because we're counting text. So we need to count the number of clients. And there we have it. All our formulas have been completed. So let's just go back to our question paper and see if we covered everything we needed to do. Okay. We've already calculated the number of days spent. We determined the total paid. We determined the total of the total paid. We've determined whether the days spent are greater than 5. Then a client is discounted, yes or no. We've determined what discount has been allowed, which is 5% of the total paid, if the discount is obviously allowed. We've determined the number of double rooms booked in May. We've determined the total amount received from extra double room bookings. And we've determined the second largest total paid, the average product price, and the total number of clients hosted in May. So we've covered everything, and we made sure that all our amounts are as currency with 2 decimal places. We need to save our spreadsheet as question 7b, so let's just do that. File, save as. And I'm saving it under my today folder, changing it as question 7b for the November 23 question paper, so I know which one it is for. Okay, right. So all we then need to do is to print the spreadsheet as a 1A4 landscape page and place the printout in your examination folder. So I will do a print preview for you just to make sure that we've got all our columns correct. Do our columns all fit on one page? It seems to be. So if I go File, Print, to do a print preview, you can see there clearly all our information fits on one sheet. Back. So now we're going to look at the C question. We need to then save our spreadsheet that we saved as question 7a. We're going to now change the question number now to question 7c. So we will go File, Save As, and now we're going to change that to question 7c for November 2023. Okay, and remember we need to update our header. So go into your page layout view at the bottom and change your header there to question 7c. Okay, so click back into your spreadsheet and go back to your normal view. So our instructions are we need to display the formula. So in order to do that, in our menu, we can go to the formulas menu and we will go to the option here that says show formulas. That's our show formulas option. So that will then show our formulas. Now we need to then readjust our column widths so that we have everything fitting onto the page size. Just make sure that when you're inserting or adjusting your column widths, that you do not, can you see as I've done there, go too far to be able to see the full formula. Yeah, we need to auto adjust those ones. So just make sure you auto adjust all the ones that you can auto adjust. Make them as small as possible so that you can fit in the rest of your information. Okay, let's just take that one up to there. Because in a question like this, once you are faced with the challenge of trying to get everything onto one page, you may have to play around with your page margins. So you go into your margins and set them to narrow in order to see if you can get your your data to fit on one page. They do not mention anything about hiding any columns. Let's just go back. No, nothing mentioned about hiding columns. So let's just readjust our price and see if that has brought us in yet. Still not. The next option that we can also consider is to change our font slightly. Use a smaller font. So take our font down to 10 and then readjust the column widths again. There we go. You see, the important thing with the C question is they want us to show their formulas. And we've managed to do that by just readjusting the column, the size of the font, and adjusting our margin slightly so that we can fit it all onto one page. So then you will be able to print this, and I'm pretty sure that we need to print it with row and column headings showing. Okay, so when we do that, we're going to go into our page layout, and we make sure that under headings we put it on print, and then we will go into file, print, to do a print preview for you, and there you can see our row and column headings are showing. And what I'm noticing is that my heading is still also cutting out, so I'm still not on one page yet, so I still need to adjust slightly. There we go. Now everything is on one page. So if I do a print preview now, everything fits all onto one page. If columns A through I, and all our rows are in there as well. Okay, so then we would be able to print that. Okay, let's see if we tackle question 7D now, what we need to do. So let's save this. And now we need to again retrieve question 7B, if I can remember the instructions correctly. Yeah, it says we need to retrieve spreadsheet saved as question 7B and to create a pie chart to display the total paid by each client. Okay, so let's do that. Let's retrieve our 7B question and let's immediately save it as 7D. Okay, once you have saved that, you're now at the point where we can actually now start doing the pie chart. So what do we need to show? We need to create a pie chart to display the total paid by each client. Okay, so we're selecting our data and we're going to select the client names as well. And now we are going to the insert menu and we're going to go to the charts. In this case, we're going to go for the pie chart. And let's do the 2D pie chart. And as you can see, it gives us an illustration of what the pie chart looks over there, like over there. And what you need to do, you're going to right click and you are going to move the chart to a new sheet, which you are going to call question 7D. Or you can call it pie chart. Let's rather call it pie chart because we're still going to play around with the chart titles, etc. Okay, so now we are in there. Now we can go back to the instructions. So we need to insert total paid as the chart title. So there it says chart title, we click on that wording and rename that as total paid. Right, let's have a look at the other elements we need to display. It asked us to insert the total paid as the chart title and to display the legend at the top of the chart with a border. So we're going to go plus here. We want to show the legend on top, and we want to go into more options now in order to add the border. Okay, so we're going to put in a border over there. We'll put in a solid line to put a border around that. Okay. Then we also need to display our data labels on the outside end. So again, chart title, chart elements. We want our data labels to be on the outside end. Right. Then we need to, as a footer, insert the examination number left aligned and the question 7D right aligned. Go into our page setup. We're going to the header and footer and we're going to do a custom footer. And on the left side, we need to insert our examination number and question 7D right aligned. Okay. So then if we do a print preview now on that, you can see there, examination number and question 7D appears on there. We have our chart title, we have our legend, we have the data labels appearing on the outside end. So we have everything we need in terms of that chart, pie chart. And that concludes our Excel question. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. and share with your friends and family so they can also be encouraged to actually learn more about computer practice. See you on the next video.